Girls, we are on page 19, lesson 3, problem set. The first question asks, use the prisms to find the volume. And the prism is right here, it's a rectangular prism. It asks you to build the rectangular prism picture below to the left with your cubes if necessary. I know you guys don't have cubes, so I built it here. There is a bottom and a top layer. So it says decompose it into layers in 3 different ways and show your thinking on the blank prisms. Complete the missing information in the table. So they're asking you to find different layers that you can choose it as. So this one is one layer right here, which has 12 cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 12 cubes in this layer. And on the bottom layer, see if I were to take all of this off, I would also find 12 cubes on the bottom layer. So I'm going to write 12 right here. So it asks me the number of cubes in each layer. There is 12 cubes in each layer. And for the number of layers, there are 2 layers because we have the top and the bottom layer. So that's 2. And they're asking me how much cubic centimeters there is. So cubic centimeter tells me the overall, all the number of layers and the number of cubes in each layer. So if I were to count all of these cubes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, I have 24 cubic centimeters, okay? So that's where the number 24 comes from. Now, I need to figure out another way to count this. So I want to divide it by going like this. I want to just take off all of these, and I'm going to split it into 4 layers. You see that? There's 4 right here. So there are 4 layers, and I'm going to split this into 4. So each row is going to have 4. So if I were to slice it, I would have 4. And I need to make 6 of those because there is 1 layer, 2 layers, 3 layers, 4 layers. Oops, it fell. 5 layers. And 6 layers. So there are 6 in all. I know it's not the neatest rectangular prism, but you have 24. Okay, so that means I need to make 6 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. I didn't draw it very well, but that's okay. So there's 4 in each layer. Okay, so that means that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers of layers, and there are 4 cubes in each layer, and the volume is still the same. So it is still 24. Now for the last one, I need to find another way to split it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it like this. I'm going to split it in half. But instead of splitting it in half like this, I'm splitting it as though I'm cutting it down straight that way. So again, you would have 24. Now I need to figure out how many layers I would have. I would have 2 layers, right? I would have 1 layer right here and my second layer right there. So that is 2 layers and the number of cubes in each layer. So let me show you what that would look like. If I remove that and I counted all of these cubes right here, I would have 12. Okay, so I'm going to count it out for you so you can hear and see it. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so that means that I have 12 number of cubes in each layer. So there are different ways to find volume, and I put up here the formula for volume. Volume is equal to length times width times height. The length of the rectangle, which I'm going to count for you so you can see it, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Length, there are 6. And then the height, which is how high something is going to be 1, 2. And then the width we have is how wide something is, and that's 1, 2. And when you multiply all of those numbers together, you're going to get the same as a volume right here. So 6 times 2 is equal to 12, and 12 times 2 is equal to 24. That's the formula for volume. So instead of counting every single cube, you can do that in order to figure out what the volume is. Okay? Now, we're going to move on to problem B. Problem B asks you to do the same thing. Okay? So I'm going to do the same thing. The only difference is I'm not going to use my cubes this time because I don't have enough cubes. But this is the rectangular prism I'm looking at now. Okay? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how many layers I'm going to break this into. And I decided I'm going to count it as though I'm slicing it across like this. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3 layers. And I'm going to erase that. And I'm going to show you right here so that you can see that I'm splitting it into 3 layers. 1, 2, 3. Splitting it into thirds. And when I split it into thirds, each section is going to have number of cubes in each layer. So in this one, I'm going to count. There is 1, and this is 1 cube right here. You see that? That's what a cube looks like. So if I were to put it in this angle, it would still be considered 1. We wouldn't count the face of the cube. We would only count the top. So that's what I'm going to count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So each layer is going to have 8. So I'm going to write 8 for the number of layers. And if you noticed earlier, when you multiply these numbers, you're going to get the volume. So 2 times 12 is 24. 6 times 4 is 24. 2 times 12 is 24. So if I want to find out the volume, I can either multiply the length times width times height, or I can multiply 3 times 8, which is equal to 24 cubic centimeters. I'm going to continue on. I need to show another example. So this time I'm going to cut it as though I'm cutting it like this. Okay? It's a little hard to see, but I want to cut it like that instead. So that means that I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have 4 that I'm going to cut. So that's 2, and that's 4. And you're wondering how many is going to be in each layer. So I'm going to count it, and I know the face is going to have, looks kind of like this earlier, right? So if I were to draw all of that, I cut it into 4, so there are 4 layers, and the number of cubes in each layer. I know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 number of cubes in each layer. So 4 times 6 is equal to 24. So right here, I would have 6 in each layer. Okay? Now on this one, I'm going to cut it in half. So I'm going to cut it just like this. That was not a very good cut. Let me try that again. There you go. And looking at this, I need to figure out how many is there. So I'm going to count it so you guys can see it a little better. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there are 12 if I were to cut that in half. So there are 2 number of layers and 12 pieces of cubes in each layer. 2 times 12 is equal to 24. Or you can use the formula right here, volume equals length times width times height, and it would still give me the answer of 24 for the volume. Okay, I'm going to turn the page. And now we are on page 20. And on page 20, we have a word problem we need to solve. word problem says Josh and Jonah were finding the volume of the prism to the right. Say volume. The boys agree that 4 layers can be added together to find the volume. Josh says that he can see on the end of the prism that each layer will have 16 cubes in it. Jonah says that each layer has 24 cubes in it. Who is right? Explain how you know using words, numbers, or pictures. So looking at this long problem, there's a lot of words. What I want to do is I want to figure out what is the story here. I know that there are 2 boys, so I'm visualizing in my head 2 boys, Josh and Jonah. Okay, so that's Josh. He's going to be green, and Jonah can be pink. Okay. Eyeball. Okay, Josh and Jonah. And they were talking about layers. It says right here, the boys agree that 4 layers can be added together to find the volume. Josh says that he can see on the end of the prism that each layer will have 16 cubes in it. So right here, Josh says that it will have 16 cubes. So he is the one who says 16 cubes. Okay, and Jonah says each layer has 24 cubes. Jonah disagrees and says 24. Okay, now I need to figure out who's right. I need to explain how I know by using words, numbers, or pictures. So I'm looking at this right here, and I'm going to count it. Okay, so I'm going to count across. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, so each layer should have 24 because we counted this out and there are 24. Another way to count this out even faster or to figure out faster, you can multiply. I count 1, 2, 3, 4. And on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know that 6 times 4 is 24, but if you want to count all the cubes, that's fine too. This is also a faster way to figure out how many is in that. Okay, so Jonah is right. Each layer has 6 across and 4 high, so there's 4 for the height. So there are 24 cubes in each layer. Now, 24 times 4